Right then, in what looked like it was about to be a two-horse race between Ten Hag and Pochettino, seems to have been blown open with numerous reports coming out that Manchester United are not just looking at those two managers. Now, I'm pretty glad with that, to be honest, and I'm kind of glad that we are looking on a wider plane than just two people. I don't think one of those people is the right people. And I even have my reservations about Ten Hag, even though I think he probably fits the bill as being the number one target that I would like to see at Manchester United. So who could those other managers be? Well, I like lists, and I like lists that have got 5 things in them. So I'm looking at 5 potential candidates, and there will be some that are closer to reality than others, but I'm going to list you 5 candidates that I think could be in the running for the Manchester United job, and I'm going to give you the pros and cons about whether or not I think they can do it. First up then is going to be Nagelsmann. Now, obviously, he's at Bayern Munich. I have to question why he would want to leave Bayern Munich, but in the first season, currently top of the league, 6 points ahead of Dortmund if they win their game in hand, into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, but they're out of the domestic cup. As a result, probably happy to stay, probably happy for Bayern to have him. He's young, he's promising, everything that you would want. So why would he leave for United? Well, there's seemingly problems about him not getting the players that he wants and not getting some of the things behind the scenes that he wants at Bayern Munich. And you go, okay, if you're not getting it at Bayern Munich, mate, I don't think you're going to get it at Manchester United. If you're seeing your arse with how Bayern Munich is run, you're in for a shock when you rock up to Manchester. On the pros, you have to say, should he win the league this season, which isn't certain but probably likely, it's proof he can win at the top level. He's young. He's doing very well so far. He's been a bit of a wonder kid manager for seemingly a while. He could even potentially learn more from where he is as he develops. He's focused on building from the back. He's a bit of a disciple of Ralph. So it would be good to see them reunited and working together a little bit. He works with possession-based attacking football. I think it definitely fits into the narrative of what Manchester United are looking for. And these are things that I think are very positive. On the cons, despite being successful at Bayern, probably, and at Leipzig, the clubs have been pretty well run around him. It's a bit like the Pochettino thing. Has he been a product of the success of the club? You know, you've seen Pellegrini be successful, you've seen Mancini be successful. Was it a club set up to be successful? And you've seen 1,000 Chelsea managers be successful. Is it because the club is set up for them to run, or have they gone in and transformed things? Those are the question marks that still exist. He might not be able to see it at Manchester United without a big clear out. A big clear out is going to require, and this will go for everybody in this list, by the way, things currently, or things in the past at least, have been run poorly at Manchester United. Let's give Richard Arnold and Ralph a chance, but history tells us that Manchester United is not the best run club in the world. And also possession-based football. If our current players aren't good enough to do it under Ralph, we remember how it was under Van Gaal. Could it go exactly the same way under Nagelsmann, unless he's been given the sort of transformative input over a series of years like City had in the build-up to Guardiola coming in? I think he's got to be an outsider, and it's perhaps a reason why he's not been as heavily mentioned in the race as the top two. But there definitely seems something in the fact that he's keen on leaving Bayern Munich. Another one to consider is Celtic's manager, Ange Postecoglou. And I definitely butchered that name, and I do apologise. So the current situation, first season as Celtic manager, top of the league, 3 points clear of Rangers. In terms of the pros, he's done well to take a really poor, low in confidence, low in star quality Celtic side and bounce back with them. They were awful last season, and they're now competing and actually getting the better of a very decent Rangers side. And you've seen how decent Rangers have been when they've been in Europe. Wants to attack and build from the back, exploiting space with wingers and fullbacks. Has proven that he can turn a team around and build. And all of these things would go down well at Manchester United. On the cons, Celtic is his only big job. And I'll ask the question, is it even a big job? For me, they're a Newcastle level in a small league. Could he deal with the pressure of being United manager? let alone the job that's in front of him. I think the jury's still massively out on that. And would the players respect him? It shouldn't matter, but is it just some random Australia guy? Is it any difference to Chris Armas or someone like that? I think it's gone down well because he's been successful at Celtic. The minute that you're unsuccessful at United, it's just going to get thrown back in your face. But he's a name that keeps cropping up. Number 3 on the list. And what's going to be hilarious is people will be against Rooney being given the job because Ollie was seemingly unsuccessful in the job. Like it has any bearing whatsoever on the fact that he's an ex-player. There's a lot of ex-players in the world. Some are successful, some are not. There's no correlation whatsoever. Current situation is the manager of Derby. I think he's going to run out of time and take them down. But the 21-point deduction that Derby suffered, if they hadn't have had it, would have them in the playoff places. I think they'd be the last playoff place, but they'd be in the playoff places. He is doing a phenomenal job. Now, football and how your team does is really, really, really based on how well your recruitment does. And he was given the chance to sign new players. And he had to bring in the likes of Ravel Morrison on a free. Ravel Morrison, who's never played consistently for any club that he's been a part of, currently playing consistently. That tells me Wayne Rooney has got the horse whisperer in him to be able to get talent to work. When Rio went down and visited Derby behind the scenes, he said he was shocked. He had a misconception about what Rooney was going to be like. He was nothing like that. And he was blown away with how good he was and how managerial and ambassadorial he was in that role. Rooney's shown himself to be a real tactician at Derby, and they're scrapping and they're winning and they're fighting, and it's everything. I imagine Derby fans are in love with Wayne Rooney in a way that I bet they never thought they would see. Possibly leaving the club at the end of the season. If they do go down, I don't think he'll want to be with them. If they do stay up, I think he's going to get loads of offers. Notably, Everton could be one of them. And Everton could be an interesting career move for him if Everton go down. Because it'd be the chance, especially if they maintain even 70% of their squad. It's a good team, Everton. Or it's not a good squad, but it's a good 11. If they can maintain 7 or 8 of them, they should come straight back up. And that would answer the one question mark that I've got on Wayne Rooney is, much like David Moyes, when you're expected to fail, you can surprise people by putting in strong performances. West Ham aren't going to win anything this season, but David Moyes will get a lot of plaudits. If he put in the exact same performance at Manchester United, he'd have got the sack. And the expectation levels are different at different clubs. The expectation if Everton go down is that they win the league next year. The expectation placed on Wayne Rooney will be, can you now compete in a league where you're expected to win and probably win with some style? If he can translate both the ability to keep Derby up under extreme circumstances, or even fail gallantly and be within a point of it, then get the opportunity to manage his boyhood club, Everton, and dominate and win the league with that team, showing that he can do both sides. He can cut his cloth when he needs to and play a more conservative style of football, and he can also open his legs and actually put a team to the sword when he needs to and go on and win something. Championship's one of the top leagues in Europe, by the way. Don't get it twisted. Then you might be able to answer the question of, all right, this kid might make it. In terms of the pros, like we said, he's proven he's a serious manager. Whether or not Derby stay up, the job he's done is commendable. He does know United inside out. His playing style is great. And even with what he's got at Derby, the goal that Ravel Morrison scored at the weekend belonged in any Hall of Fame. It was, the build-up play before it was pure 2008 Manchester United. He is a young manager. He's got the potential to learn, to improve, to get better. I think he's just one step away, and that's his connies, the inexperience. Done a good job on trying circumstances. I'd like to see him also flip it. This is what Fergie did. Went to a couple of clubs where he exceeded expectations by not getting relegated. Then he took on a job at Aberdeen, and he's still the last manager that wasn't manager of Rangers or Celtic to win the league nearly 40 years ago. No one's done it since. But the expectation of going and actually winning something, I think winning the championship would represent a real positive. And I think that would tell me that he's ready for the United job. But he needs that bridging thing now. It's all right keeping a team up. You keep United up, no one's going to be fucking happy for you. You're going to have to go and do more. So I think he's got to go and do that. But otherwise, Wayne Rooney would be a really good outside shout in a year's time. One that's got a prior existing relationship with Ralph Rangnick is Ralph Hasenhüttl. Current situation on him, 5th season in charge of Southampton, and he's varied from just keeping them up to finishing mid-table. This season they finish 9th, or they're in 9th, they're sitting 9th. On the pro side of things, he's arguably had some success with a lower expectation, it must be said. He's kept them in the league for 5 seasons. He did finish 2nd place with Leipzig in Bundesliga in 2017. Former mentoree of Ralph Rangnick. Could be a good option to continue what Ralph has started. They have a very, very similar play style and philosophy. Proven he can play the high-pressing, counter-attacking football in the Premier League. But on the con side of things, we've seen them get absolutely smashed. He isn't a winner, certainly not a proven winner. And sometimes when they've been good, they've been very, very good. But when they've been bad, they've been horrendous. And we've seen them get absolutely mullered. How much of that is down to managers just sticking with plan A regardless? And how much of that is down to the sheer ability that he had at his disposal? It's probably a little bit of both, at least. So I don't know if you can put it entirely on him, but you can't take the blame entirely away from him either. He's done nothing groundbreaking. Coming 2nd in Germany is an achievement at Leipzig, but Leipzig are a very well-run club and they're back incredibly well. So what have you done really? Beat Dortmund. Okay, well, United came 2nd last season and it wasn't good enough. I don't see why coming 2nd with Leipzig would be considered the stepping stone that you need to become Manchester United manager. But the Premier League experience and the prior relationship with Ralph probably puts him very high up on this list, even if the cons are significant. And then finally, this is a name that we saw a lot of, and then it disappeared. And that's Zinedine Zidane. Current situation, kicking back on the beach. Pros, serial winner, proven track record at Real Madrid, proven to deal with egos, will attract names on his own. People will go, I want to play for Zidane. Managed to get the best out of Ronaldo and Varane before. How many of them are still here next season remains to be seen, but very, very successful manager. On the cons, he's only managed in Madrid, and they arguably had one of the best squads ever. And United definitely don't have that. And there's nothing to suggest that he could conduct the rebuild at United. He hasn't demonstrated he can do that in his career. Now, he took over a team that was failing, but that could have more to do with the fact Rafa Benitez is an awful manager and less to do with the fact that Real Madrid was an awful team. Under United, with owners that cut corners wherever they can, that could be a drawback. There were some rumours that he was learning English, but as it stands, I'm not aware that he speaks English. And I worry for how important that is for the manager of Manchester United to be able to speak English. And the reasons for that is Manchester United isn't just a football team. Manchester United is a real institution in English football. And every single, there's no press conference attended or watched in the sort of numbers that the Manchester United press conference is. And words get twisted. Words got twisted when it was Alex Ferguson, and you would have to sit there in front of him and he'd bollock you. Words will get twisted beyond belief if it was Zidane not speaking his native language. Meanings of words would be thrown in his face, and I don't think it would go down well. I think he could do a lot of the other stuff, but I think speaking English would be a massive one because the way the press treat Manchester United managers is horrendous, and I think it would make it extra difficult for him. Those are the 5 that I think could be the outside chances. I still think it's a very much Poch versus Ten Hag kind of race. But I think those could be the 5. I'd be surprised if someone comes outside of those 5 that gets linked to the job in any sort of serious capacity. But I've been wrong in the past, and I'm sure I'll be wrong in the future, and I could be wrong on this in this instance. But that's my thoughts on it. Let me know your guys' thoughts on it. And tomorrow, I'm probably going to be taking a real deep dive into why I don't want Pochettino. We'll be getting the data out on it and explaining why I don't like him. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Before you get off, I got a little favour to ask. My little pub team, which is not a pub team, obviously, we're in the Saturday League. We are pushing on to step 7 of the national game. That puts us into the English football pyramid, where we can theoretically be like 11, 12 promotions away from being in the Premier League. Now, that's going to cost more money than we're ever going to have, and it's not going to happen. We do have ambitions of being around step 3, step 4, somewhere like that in the future. Maybe even get excited and end up in the Conference North one day. But we're on this journey. And we're building a football club. We're not just a team, we are a club. And a club requires coaches, and a club requires players, and a club requires a ton of other volunteers. Now, this is the important thing. There's a lot of stuff you guys can do to help support the club from afar, and we appreciate every one of those. But we are looking for people that we can get boots on the ground with in Manchester. So if you've got any interest in being a coach, any interest in being a volunteer, a steward, someone that can help out on a match day, we are back in the stadium next season. We want to hear from you. We're going to be putting out 10 teams at every age group. That's 100 teams from under 6 to under 16. And we're going to be doing boys, and we're going to be doing girls, and we're going to be doing women as well. And we're looking to create all of those things, but we need your guys' help. So if you're a coach, you've at least got a level 1, and you're in the Manchester area, then please send me over your coaching CV to hello@stretfordpaddockfc.com and tell us that you're interested. We are recruiting right now. We will be returning the trials in the stadium over the course of the summer. There'll probably be 2 big trial days. We'll have an under-21s team again next season. So if you're 17, 18, and you want to play for Stretford Paddock, but you think you're nowhere near the first team, the under-21s is the bridging gap to that. We'll have probably another 4 men's teams aside from the first team as well. There's going to be a lot of football teams and a lot of opportunities for you to play for Stretford Paddock in the coming years. So if you're interested in playing, joining, volunteering, or doing anything else, let me know what you can do. Email me at hello@stretfordpaddockfc.com, and we'll be glad to have you on board on our little journey. Next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.